Hello friends, Alana here. Welcome back to The Balanced Mom. Today we're going to be doing a review video of All About Reading. I have level 1 here. I'm also going to be giving you a look inside. These are all the components of the program. It comes with a teacher manual, an activity book, 3 readers, and phonogram and word cards. So let's get to it. So here is the teacher's manual. In the beginning, there is an assessment to make sure that your child is at the right level for this book, because they do have another level before this called pre-reading. And so if your child does not know all of their letters, you probably want to go back and do that one or do some other program, but they do need to know their letters before starting this. I've actually recommend buying it used if it includes the activity book over here, because there is a lot of cutting and prepping for this program. And so I imagine it would have taken that person hours, and I was pretty lucky because she had already cut out all the activities and put them in sheet protectors for me. And you also have to cut out your letter tiles and glue magnets to the back of them. So just make sure you set aside time, if you're buying this program new, to punch out all of the word cards and the phonogram cards and cut out all of the things for the activity books and glue all the magnets to the back, because there really is a ton of prep time involved in this. You can do it as you go. You can have your child cut up the activities for the day. Having everything cut out and ready to go at the very beginning of the year makes it a whole lot easier. So there are a couple different activities that you do daily in this book. And so one of them is the letter tiles. And so for example, for this lesson, this is in the very beginning of the book, you're going to take out MAP, and then you can move it around, and they'll tell you how to do this in the book. And so you take the S, you move it over there, and then they'd have to sound this one out, SAP. And so that's kind of an idea of how the letter tiles work, and they are separated by color. And so you can see all of the blue letters are consonants, and then the red letters are the vowels, and then there is a red and blue Y to show them that a Y is sometimes a vowel and sometimes a consonant. And there is a rule in the book for that. I don't remember what it is. I don't think I'm there yet with my daughter, but it does a really great job of explaining the rules and when you would use the Y as the vowel or the consonant. Very good. Now if you put the G, what does it say? Say it again. You put the R. Good job. Now if you take away the G and if you add the N, what does that say? Very good. So the letter tiles are just one activity that you do in this book. Another one that you do is you refer to the activity book, which I will pull out now for you. We actually, well, the person before us didn't glue these pieces to the sheet. And we are not either, because I'm hoping to resell this when we're done, because this is not a cheap program. And so if you do buy this new, or I mean even if you buy it used and you plan to resell it, just make sure you don't actually glue anything onto the sheets. And so for example, for this one, this is I think the very first activity you do in the book. They would read these words and match them up to the pictures. And these are really nice because depending on how well your child reads already, obviously if they're first starting out, they're going to need a lot of help with this. My daughter already did sort of another reading program before this, so at least the first half of activities in this book, she could kind of do this part independently, but you can totally do this without doing any other reading program beforehand, as long as your child knows their letter sounds. So I have star stickers here because you also have this fun progress chart, and they can put stickers on the path as they go. And that's sort of an extra motivator for them. And again, there's another sort of that same type of activity. And then you have these, and these are called Fluency sheets. And these include new letters or sounds or blends that they're learning, or phrases or sentences that will be in the reader that they will be assigned in the next few days. And so they're not frustrated when they come across these new words in the reader, and they build confidence because they already know what they are. And so something really cool about these, because I mean this part here is a little bit boring. You have a viewfinder bookmark that is included, and this actually makes these pages a lot more fun for my daughter, and she actually uses this even when she's reading other books outside of the program. And it also helps for the child not to be distracted. So for example, they'll read the, sat, nap, Jan, and it also helps them to kind of realize, because they'll see you moving it over, that you read from left to right. And eventually my daughter, she started doing it on her own, just moving it, and she even uses this in the reader. She doesn't really need it, but she just likes it. It makes it more fun. Here are some of the other activities. Again, they're just in individual sheet protectors. It helps to keep them together and keep them organized. and you know which way you have to go. So this is really fun. You can kind of create this yourself. If your child is struggling with doing the Fluency sheet that I showed you, this one, you can kind of make your own word cards, and this is called Feed the Monster. And so there is a little slit here, and you can tell her to read the word. So for example, she would read cat, and then she could feed it to the monster. So that's just one example of using a game to make it more fun to get through those Fluency sheets. We also sometimes do like swat the word, where they grab like a fly swatter, and I will say like cat, and then they have to swat it, and there's a bunch of word cards on the floor. You can also put flashcards or these words down on the floor and have them hop on it. And so I would say cat, and then they would have to jump on the word cat. And so that's just a couple of ideas of how to make these word cards or Fluency sheets more fun. And so there's lots of ideas online. You can look them up too. For this activity, it covers rhyming. For example, it'll say tan, and you pick Jan, and so you're building your ice cream cones. Matt sat, jab tab, and nap sap. Here are some flip books, and so for example, on this one the beginning sound changes, so it'll say gush, rush, mush, hush, and then here it's the ending sound that changes, so it would be shot, shin, ship, sorry, this is hard to do with one hand, shut, shop, and so there's a couple of these little books spread throughout the lessons. Something else to note about this program is that you don't have to finish a whole lesson in a day. You only do as much as you can, or as much as your child wants to do. You can set a timer, because if you try to finish a whole lesson, some of them are really, really long, and so your child will get frustrated and they will not want to do it anymore. For example, this lesson will teach words containing H, K, R, and the leap word A, and then you do your phonogram cards 13 to 15, word cards 24 to 32, blast off to reading pages, which are the readers, and then listen to the Phonogram Sounds app. You don't have to do this if you don't have the reading games with Ziggy Book. These are the cards again. You bring out your letter tiles and you do this on the board, and so you can just kind of see that even for this lesson, you're taking out a few different things. Continue to change one letter at a time, so these are all the words you will spell on the board. And then you have letter sounds bingo that you will do if you have multiple kids or just you and your child. Then you have the word match activity sheet, and then you have to answer these questions. Which word starts with the sound Y? It's in yak. And so this is all one lesson, and you can see here's a Fluency sheet, and so you can see there's quite a bit. Read your story, mark the progress chart, and so again, you don't have to do all of this in one day because it is a lot. And so phonogram cards and word cards are both kept here in this box. And so this comes with the deluxe kit. This doesn't come if you buy the basic package. I do recommend buying the word box. It's pretty helpful just to keep all these cards organized, especially because this is just the cards from level 1. You're also going to get new cards when you order level 2, 3, 4 if you continue with the program, so it's nice to have somewhere to keep them. And so how these are divided is these are the phonogram cards to review. And so these are the new ones that you would pull out from the day. So for example, it will say you need phonogram cards 5 through 8 and word cards 4 through 13. And so it'll tell you what lesson it's from, phonogram card 7, so you know which ones to pull out for the day. And you would also keep cards here that your child needs to practice. So for example, my daughter, she knows every single one of her letters except for B and D. And so, I think this is a common problem for most kids. And so I just keep them up in the front under the review section because she just needs to keep practicing them because she keeps getting them mixed up. And if there was any other sounds that she doesn't know, I would keep them up there until she got them right a few times, and then I would move them back to the mastered section. And so these are all the cards that she has mastered so far, and basically they're all just letters. The sound cards are just the letter sounds, and then some consonant blends, I believe, later on. And then you have their word cards, which are the words that they're working on for the week. And so again, you would keep the ones that your child does not know in this section. And so for example, dig I keep in here because she keeps mixing up the D with the B. And so you'll see a lot of DB words here. But they're also the new words that you would pick out for that coming lesson. And then these are all the ones that they've mastered. And so this, whenever you see a frog on here, it means that it's a leap word or a sight word, so it means that they're leaping forward because we have not covered the rules that explain why this is pronounced of instead of off, for example. And so whenever you see that frog, you know that it's a rule breaker.
Of.
Mm-hmm. Is. And so these are still all of the words that we have to go through. And I took the time to organize them by the lesson and the number, because otherwise if you're sifting through all of these cards, it will take forever. So prepping is really key with this program, because if you don't prep adequately, you will get super frustrated trying to put all the pieces together. And that is also, I would say, a con of the program is, even though it's fun because it kind of breaks things up a little bit, there are a lot of components to this program. And so if you don't have a lot of storage space, that might frustrate you. So make sure you know where you're keeping this stuff. Just know that when you do this program, there is a tiny bit of prep work, because unless you just keep this out on your table, you do have to gather all of the pieces every single day. So another thing they include in the teacher's manual is comprehension questions. And so for example, you will pull out your reader. And what I do, again, to just make it easier so I don't have to keep referring to this book every single time she turns a page, is I put Post-it notes. And so I know when we're reading this book, when she gets to this, stop here, when she gets to this page, that we have to go back and refer to the manual, and it'll say after page 21, how does Sam feel about the cat batting the tag? Why does he feel that way? Have your student look at Sam's expression in the illustration to answer the question. You just know that it's here, so I kind of label them ahead of time. So page 23, page 24, and then here's the questions that go along with it. So, I mean, you don't have to do this. I just found that otherwise I'm like stopping after every single page to figure out where the questions are in the teacher's manual. And so that's just a quick little tip. And every single lesson, after you're done, it tells you to have some read aloud time scheduled in. And so that can be any book or series that your child likes. And so you can record it here on the sheet that they provided. We go to our library really often, so I just read through our bag of books that I have set aside, so we don't really record them. But I mean, it may be fun to kind of record it so that you can go through at the end of the year and see all of the books that you've read. And this can be books that they sort of read aloud to themselves. I'm sure once they get to a certain point, right now I just read the books to her. Sometimes if she wants to, I'll let her read some. But usually after she's done with the reader and everything here, she's kind of done for the day. As far as the readers go, they do have a color edition. This is a little bit older since I bought it used. And so this one's in black and white. It doesn't affect my daughter. She still likes the stories because they're still simple enough that they build confidence and there's pictures in it. And so she still thinks that this reader is really fun. If you can get the color version, I would recommend it just because kids generally like things with color more. Here is volume 2, just so you can see how the books get progressively harder. Another thing they do mention in this book is they'll talk about like exclamation points and periods and what is a sentence. And so there's a little bit of that thrown in there too. And then the quotation marks, that's when somebody's saying something. And so it kind of covers a bit of grammar too. You definitely do need a grammar and like spelling program and a handwriting program alongside this if you're using this when they're older. My daughter is 4, so I do pair it with a handwriting curriculum. She's super young, so you really don't have to do that, but she likes writing, and so I recommend if you're doing this probably in 1st grade and up to pair it with, you know, some gentle grammar, and I don't know if you want to start spelling yet, but you can definitely handwriting. But again, for this age, for kindergarten and down, I don't think you need to pair it with anything else except for maybe handwriting if you choose. And this is the 3rd reader. So those are what the readers look like. Again, I think they'd be a lot more fun in color. Buh.
Bug.
No, sound it out.
Bud.
Bud. Good job.
Run, bug, run. The bug sat on a bug.
So there you have it. That is our review for All About Reading. I really, really like this program. I do recommend it. Some cons, I don't think it's really open and go unless you prep everything ahead of time by cutting it out and putting it in page protectors. So if you can buy it used where someone did all that prep work for you, I definitely think that is the way to go. I'm happy that we did it that way because this would have taken me hours. And my daughter loves cutting and stuff, but I think this might have just been too much for her doing it day after day after day. And so try to prep everything ahead of time, and you do have to read the book every day sort of before you start your lesson, so you're not reading through it while you're with your child, and so they don't become bored while they're waiting for you to read through it. So you do have to prep a little bit daily. There are a lot of components to it, but if you do want a hands-on program, like this where you're doing a different thing every day and you have different activities, I don't really know if there's a way to get around it. So you have to decide if that's important to you, because it is a lot of things to store and to get out every single time. And so my daughter does not really love this program. I really wish that she did. But if you have a child that likes to write and likes workbooks, this will not be for you. My daughter loves to write, and so I think she would be happy with just doing a page or two a day in a workbook and just getting it over with and being done. Because for this, when I pull this out and she does the activity, usually she's okay with that. She's okay with doing the reader. And then as soon as I pull out like the flashcards and start doing like the comprehension questions along with the reader, she's like, Mom, there's more. And so if you have a child that doesn't need all the reinforcement and can just hear things once and just retain it, then again, this may be overkill for you. But overall, it's really thorough. Your child will have a super solid foundation if you use this. So it is a great program. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any of this helpful, or if you have any other questions, please drop them down in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up so we can make more videos like this, and let us know what else you would like us to review. And have an awesome day. Thank you.